All these videos about buying versus renting on YouTube, and can't nobody get it right. I mean, why can't this why can't they get this right? No, that's not how it's done. That's still not right. That's just terrible. And this is why when I used to be a teacher and students would come up and say, "Why do we need to learn this today? We're never going to use it in the real world." Well, guess what? We're in the real world, and these experts on YouTube still can't get it right. That's it. I'm doing it myself. If you want answers to whether you should buy or rent, you came to the right place. Let's do it. What's up, everyone? The question that plagues so many people is, should I buy a house or should I rent? And unfortunately, after viewing videos on YouTube about this topic, they can't seem to get it right. Either they can't get the math done correctly or really don't know anything about real estate and how it works. To remedy this, I'm doing a few things for you today. I'm going to bring you two scenarios with real homes, real numbers, and calculations I did myself. I'm not going to go to just some random website, throw in numbers, and then just repeat what the website's telling me. I mean, you could do that yourself. I'm guessing you're going to want me to keep it real, and that's what we're going to do. The other thing we're going to discuss is, if you stick around, we're going to go beyond the numbers and making it more personal for you as to whether you should buy or rent based on your own situation. So I'm bringing you things to think about beyond just the numbers, but matching up with the numbers. All right, now scenario number one, we're going to compare buying a property versus renting, and we're going to find the closest properties that I can possibly get to compare these two. Yes, I actually went and pulled real numbers from two different properties. Both these properties closed, one for rent and one for sale, within the last 15 days of making this video. These are super comparable. Now, since I had nothing to do with these homes, I can't share pictures of either one of them because I don't have any. But what I can say is that they're both in the same neighborhood here in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Both these homes have 4 bedrooms and 3 baths with similar square footage, and they both have similar updates, meaning this is as close as I could get to comparing apples to apples. The home that the buyer purchased that we're using sold for $550,000, and the home that we're looking at that's being leased is leased for $2,890 per month. The question is, which one of these deals is better? Before we go further into the numbers, let's talk about what people get wrong all the time. People so often just compare rent prices to monthly mortgage payments, and whichever one is lower, they say that's the best option. There's much more to it than that. So what we're first going to do is we're going to look at monthly mortgage payment, which includes principal and interest, and insurance and property taxes. A common fallacy I hear told all the time, and it's even being told by real estate agents, is that people should buy a home because rental prices are always going up, but when you buy a home, your mortgage will always be the same payment. While the total principal and interest do stay the same if you have a fixed rate mortgage, the insurance and taxes will increase if the value of your property increases. And these amounts can be significant. So while yes, rent payments do go up from year to year, so do monthly payments on a house from year to year. Another huge factor we want to look at is the maintenance on a home. When you rent a home, you don't have to worry about things breaking. If it breaks, you just call the landlord and they come and fix it for you. If something breaks in your home that you just purchased, you have to fix it. And when something like a roof or your air conditioning system goes out, that replacement and fix can be very, very expensive. For purposes of this video, we're going to say that the maintenance is going to be 1% of the value of your home. In this case, for the first year of owning, the amount will be $5,500, which is 1% of the sales price of the home. Here's where it can get tricky and where so many online calculations and YouTube experts either get it wrong or don't take the time to get accurate numbers. As the years go on, while living in a home, the value of your home will increase. Over the last 25 years in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, homes on average have increased 3.9% year over year in value. And when the value of your home increases, so does insurance, so does the amount of you owe on taxes, and so does the cost of maintenance. I factored these into the calculations, which we'll look at in just a second. The taxes, insurance, and home maintenance costs will increase by 3.9% year over year, along with the home values. Now, since the average person owns a home for 10 years, I decided to play the scenario out, rent versus buy, over a 10-year period. With that said, we have a $550,000 home, a down payment of 20%, which is $110,000, and the closing cost for this purchase was $12,000. Now that's established, we need to look at the rent. I gave a little bit of an advantage in the rent scenario, as I'm not charging the renter any upfront fees like application fees because they can vary and they really don't cost that much. We're also going to assume that any security deposits that the renter puts down are going to be returned once the lease is up. The renter is paying $2,890 per month, But renters lots of times need renter's insurance, and we're going to put that as $20 per month. In Peachtree Corners, Georgia, rent has increased year over year for the past 12 years at a rate of 4%. The rent year over year will reflect a 4% increase, and we have increased the insurance to an extra $10 per year, year over year. Okay, we're just about ready to show the numbers, but one last thing. We're going to treat the renter as a savvy investor who takes any savings that they have compared to if they had purchased a home, and we will invest that money at a 5% return year over year. Every year, we'll take the interest made and any additional savings for the next year and reinvest that money. Now, before anyone messaged me, I know I'm taking some liberties with the investment side of things, and yes, I'm rounding numbers to the nearest dollar. But I wanted to give you the best comparison I could while not getting too lost in the weeds. Okay, so first with the home buyer. We have taken the payments for everything and put them in money spent over the entire year. Here is the breakdown of the payments every year for 10 years. We can see that the total principal and interest remains the same every year, but the taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs increase year over year. I have put the total cost to the homeowner for this home in the right-hand column. Now let's look at the value of the home year over year. You can see that the purchase price was $550,000, but over 10 years at a 3.9% increase year over year, you can see that the value of the home has now gone up to $776,073. Okay, it's been 10 years and now you're going to sell the home. Let's say that you sell it for $776,000. The home is not paid off yet, and there's still a balance of $373,085. Let's subtract the amount owed from the sales price, and we get $402,915. Next, when you sell a home and you use a real estate agent, you'll likely pay a commission. For the purpose of this scenario, we're going to say that the total commission to the listing agent and the buyer's agent is 6% of the sales price. That comes out to be $46,560. We will now subtract that from $402,915, and we come up with a total of $356,355. This is the total profit made off this home over a 10-year period. That's not too bad of a profit. Okay, let's now look at the renter who is a savvy investor. They rent a very similar home in Peachtree Corners. The rent for the first year starts at $2,890 per month, and the renter's insurance, as we stated before, is $20 per month. For the first year, the yearly payments for this rental property are going to be $34,920. Now let's compare that to what the homeowner was paying. The total cost in year one for the homeowner was $45,071. That's a big difference. That's a savings of $10,391 for the renter in the first year. Again, as a reminder, we have a very disciplined, savvy renter who now takes the money that they didn't put down for a down payment on the house that they would have bought, $110,000, the money they saved on closing costs, $12,000, and the savings in renting versus buying, which was $10,151, and that renter is going to invest that money. The investment is going to pay 5% return year over year. The renter is investing $132,151 at a 5% return, and in that first year, that renter makes $6,608. We're going to once again take all the money the renter has saved, the money made in year one of the investing, and the savings from year two, and continue to invest that money. Now, year two of renting costs a little more, and the cost to rent is increasing faster than the total cost that the buyer is paying. In year two, the total rent cost is $36,312 for the year, while the total cost of the buyer for the year is $45,581. The savings for the renter is $9,259. Here's the data for the renter year over year for 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, we see that the total cost to rent per year is $49,686. This amount is just slightly above the yearly cost of the buyer, which is $50,446. If we decided to continue and calculate for one more year, that's year 11, you would see that the renter would now be paying more for the year than the buyer would. With all this data, let's now compare the two. For the buyer, after 10 years of owning and just looking at the house as an investment, the buyer has a net profit of $356,355. When we compare that to the renter, we see that after 10 years, the renter who's been investing made $279,494. The buyer has made $76,861 more than the renter of a similar house. Not only do we see the buyer making over $76,000 more in profit, there's also a bonus here. If the buyer was a married couple and they're filing jointly for their taxes, the IRS allows them to make up to $500,000 in profit off the sale of their primary residence without paying any taxes on it. If the buyer is single, they can make up to $250,000 in profit before paying capital gains tax. But the good news is they can write off expenses that they incurred while they own the home, so it's possible, if they had enough expenses, to keep most, if not all, the profits they made and not be taxed on any of it. If you want more info on how much you owe in taxes when selling your home, you can check out this video I did right here. For the renter who's been investing, depending on the investment and if they take the money out now after 10 years, there may be some significant taxes that they have to pay on the profits that they've made to this point. I think in this scenario, if it played out just like this, the buyer definitely came out on top. Let's take a look at a different scenario. We're going to keep the buyer the same, but let's say the renter decides to go for something a little bit smaller with a lower rent. The renter decides to get a 3-bedroom apartment in Peachtree Corners. A 3-bedroom apartment in Peachtree Corners on average rents for $2,450 per month, which is $29,400 per year. If we keep the exact same scenarios from as before, with rent increasing 4% per year, insurance increasing $10 per year, and saving and investing the exact same way, we will see a pretty good jump in savings. Here are the calculations for the person that's renting a 3-bedroom apartment. We see that by the end of 10 years, in this scenario, the renter has made $361,911 from saving and investing. Now we compare the renter to the buyer who made $356,355 from the purchase of a home, and we see the renter has made $5,556 more dollars than the home buyer. Are you surprised? If we took this out just one more year to year 11, the home buyer gets the upper hand and the home buyer actually makes $6,700 more than the renter would. Once again, we have to take in consideration that the home buyer, which has now sold their property and made a profit, may not have to pay any taxes on the sale of their home, whereas the renter who's been investing may have to pay taxes on their profit depending on the investments they've made. In the end, the home buyer and the renter come out pretty evenly on this one. For those that are interested, here is what the differences in profits look like year over year with the home buyer versus the home renter versus the apartment renter. You can see that in year 7, the home buyer overtakes the home renter in terms of the profit being made. And while the apartment renter comes out on top in a 10-year span, once we get to year 11, as previously mentioned, the home buyer kind of takes the lead now. Now the question is, what does this all mean? If you're looking just at the numbers, I've laid it out for you and you can judge which one of these you think comes out on top. But this is just 2 scenarios in a sea of thousands and thousands of different possibilities. What's been laid out for you is a very basic scenario, and we know that home values go up and down like a roller coaster with a general trend of them raising 3.9% in value year over year. As we know from the last 2 years, we've seen spikes in prices of, in some places, up to 35% increase in value. But let's go beyond the numbers. For those who are still with me, let's look at it this way. Why do you want to buy a home? Why would you want to rent a home? Are you not wanting much hassle when it comes to home maintenance, yard work, etc.? Are you looking to be in your current city or area for only a few years and then move out? In that case, renting makes much more sense. Can you deal with a smaller living situation? Save up what you would be spending and invest it? If you can, then after a few years, you may not only be able to put more down on a home in terms of down payment, but you may be able to buy a home that has a higher price that maybe is more of your dream home. One thing everyone watching this video needs to keep in mind is this: are you disciplined enough to save and invest the money you are saving while renting? I know just at looking at statistics that answer to the question for most people is no. Most people would not invest the money they're saving, or at least not invest all of it. This is where buying a home can be a huge advantage. Buying a home is like forcing yourself to invest money, and for many people, that's a good thing. In the end, buying versus renting is a money question, but it's also a question of personality, life goals, and desires. If your desire is to buy a home and have a place to call your own, then go for it. Long term, it can be a really good payoff. If your desire is more freedom and want flexibility and moving around, then rent. Just make sure that you're making wise investing choices along the way. The biggest takeaway is knowing that both ways can work out. if you know what you're doing and are wise with your finances. If you're all about the numbers, then check out this playlist right here where I share Metro Atlanta real estate market updates and do some diving into hyper-local stats as well. Check it out, and if you have any questions or need a realtor, my contact info is below. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.